few years ago, under the Gillard government, a matter came up. I think it was in relation to the PLO and the United Nations and what our position should be when a resolution came up, and the tradition was that we would oppose it. And Bob Carr, who was then the foreign minister, worked against that. Although he was the minister, he worked against his prime minister within the caucus, which seems to go, in my view, against the rules, or rather the conventions concerning ministers and the backbench. But he went against it, and he was reported as saying that the reason why he wanted a change in the policy was, how else will I be able to explain this on the steps of the Lakemba Mosque? How else can I explain this? How would I be able to explain this on the steps of the Lakemba Mosque? What on earth was Bob Carr up to there, do you think?
Well, there's a couple of factors with Bob Carr. Firstly, like you, I've been a critic of some of the things that Julia Gillard did, but on this issue, she was pretty solid. She supported Israel, she supported the Jewish community, and her prime ministership was threatened by the actions of Bob Carr at the time. It was quite tense in the Labor Party, and some of that tension still exists today. I know somebody who did a study based on our previous census. How many federal seats are influenced by the Muslim vote? And at that time that the study was done, 15 seats were identified that could swing on the Muslim vote in those particular electorates. The number of seats that would likely swing on the Jewish vote was possibly one, which is now the seat of McNamara in Melbourne. So if you're into political power, then it's a no-brainer. There are over 800,000 Muslims in Australia, possibly now getting closer to 1 million. The number of Jewish people in Australia, a little over 100,000. So it's 8 to 1 if you want a number. So on the pure politics, that is a factor. There are other issues. Bob Carr has behaved in a rather odd manner on a range of foreign policy issues. We know that he's been a big defender of China, of the Chinese Communist Party, and there was an article published in the Financial Review some years ago that exposed his relationship with a number of Chinese-funded organisations. Not suggesting that's illegal, but the article suggested there was some influence going on there. We've looked into Bob Carr to see if there's any relationship with Islamic or Muslim organisations, and we believe that there is. There is a superannuation fund in Australia called Crescent Wealth. It is the only superannuation fund which describes itself as halal compliant. It has a charity associated with it called Crescent Foundation. And I would invite people to simply Google the term Crescent Foundation, bring up the website, have a look at who the chairman of Crescent Foundation is, and you will see that it is no other than Bob Carr. Now, again, I'm not suggesting anything illegal here, but there is a relationship with the Islamic money, the superannuation fund, and their charity, Crescent Foundation. Is that influential in what he's doing? Well, perhaps, but at least it's a conflict of interest that needs to be declared, and it is not adequately declared when he makes comments and lobbies on this subject.